Howdy, you guys. Alrighty. Can I just say, how awesome is it that we have protesters? Like, we have finally made it. Let's give a round of applause to the fact that we have protesters, because they're that scared of us right now. That is so encouraging to see. And I know for some people it makes them a little bit nervous, but I went down to Austin, so now I am completely desensitized to protesters. All I hear is the ringing in my ear of the chants, and they're kind of catchy, and it's very encouraging to me. I want to tell you guys a funny story about my very first time out at the 40 Days for Life Vigil. It's probably about 5 years ago. And actually, let me back up. I'm going to tell you another funny story that's not funny at all. My husband and I were on a road trip back from Missouri, and we stopped by some caverns to go see, all this stuff. And we walked down, and I don't know if y'all have ever been there, but they're underground, and you have like stalactites and just nature, and you're in the earth, and it's very interesting. But what they do is they try to make it as natural as possible and not put a lot of like junk down there, like you're not going to see gift shops and stuff. So they have lights, and that's about it. Well, we're down there, and we're on a tour, and this guy behind us asked the tour guide, like, why do you guys have a phone down here? Like, they had a phone booth, and it was just very out of place. And she said, funny story. A few years ago, this guy had a heart attack and died in here, and so they required us to put one in. And we're all like standing there waiting for, what's the funny part again? Like, are you going to get to that? Because that was a horrible, horrible story. So now I'm going to tell you a funny story that you're going to think is horrible, but just know I lived, I survived. It's all good. Feel free to laugh at any point, because it was the highlight of my 40 Days for Life experience, I'll tell you this. Okay, so we used to have it down at the Planned Parenthood. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. It's over by Dallas Presby, and there's a Jason's Deli right there. So we're standing, and this particular 40 Days for Life, I just really felt called to come out every single day. And so I was trying. Every day I was going out there, sometimes for like 4 hours at a time, sometimes for 15 minutes, most of the time for 15 minutes. But I would go out there, and I would pray, and on this one particular day, I was out there, and it was a bunch of little old blue-haired ladies. And can I just say, like, God bless little old blue-haired ladies. They are absolutely the backbone of this movement. They are the ones that are out there when nobody else wants to be out there, rain or shine, and they're out there praying the rosary. And so on this particular day, I'm standing out there with them, and I'm the only quote-unquote, like, young person. I was still kind of young at the time. And I see this car slow down. And a lot of times this will happen because people, they want to, like, honk and tell you you're number one, or, like, whatever it is that they're going to do. So I wasn't even really fazed. I'm reading the word and going through some Psalms, and I was just kind of engrossed in this. But I noticed this car slows down. I noticed that they roll down their window. Next thing I know, I am on the ground. Like, I am completely bent over in pain, and I just know, like, I've been shot. Like, I'm dying. Like, this is the way that I'm going to die, which, I mean, as far as that goes, that's a pretty all right way to die, like, to be this, like, pro-life martyr, right? And so I'm bent over in pain. The wind is knocked out of my lungs. And in this moment, when I should have been thinking about, like, my precious family and trying to say goodbyes, I just kept thinking, I wonder if they're going to make a Facebook page for me, like, for dying, for, like, 40 Days for Life, like, martyr destiny. And so this little lady is, like, helping me up, and all of a sudden she starts laughing because I had been hit by a ramekin of ranch dressing because some dirtbag leaving Jason's Deli decided he was going to roll the window down and chunk it as hard as he possibly could at me. And, like, to the point where you could literally see the indentation, and, like, I could read the little trademark of the plastic company that made it. And I started laughing, and I hobbled around, and I milked it probably for a good couple days. Like, oh, I've been wounded in the movement. Like, But then I got over it and realized it's a hilarious story. So that really was a funny story, right? Even though it's a little iffy. All right, so I'm not saying that's the only reason we need youth involved, so that we can take the ranch dressing bullets for the movement. But that's a big part of it. Because if you really think about it, if they would have driven by and they had rage, man, they were going to hit somebody with that. Could have been a little old lady. She would have broken her hip. She never, 60% of people, like, do not live independently after they break a hip. Y'all didn't know that. Now you know that. That's a fact. I saved a little old lady that day. I don't know that I've ever saved a baby, but I do know I saved a little old lady that day. Okay, that's one reason the youth need to get involved. Second reason is because we are the ones who are the peers of the people who are out there considering abortion right now. And something that I've noticed that's very interesting is Planned Parenthood is this giant machine, right? and they have all this money that they're putting into PR and marketing. And we don't have that money. We're just churches. We're out there trying to save babies. We want to put our resources into helping these women. We can't put our resources into marketing the death of their kids to them. But the really cool thing is we can glean some of their knowledge and what they know that's going on. Pay close attention to Planned Parenthood and the messages that they're sending with they have so many pervy little websites that they try to market to like 15-year-old kids about sex. And one of the words that they keep using that they're trying to phase out is it's no longer reproductive rights. Now it's reproductive justice. And I hope that makes your skin crawl when you hear that, because there has never been a more perverse way of talking about killing children than to call that justice. Like, we are officially deceived as a culture if you can look at that and think that that does anything for women. Their second word that they're using is empowerment. And so they're telling women, you are going to be liberated. This is your body, your choice. And they keep telling women this. And as you guys who've stood out, I'm sure, in front of many of these clinics, and you watch a woman walk in, tell me which woman you see going in, have ever seen going in, who seemed empowered, who seemed liberated and confident and loved the fact that she was getting an abortion, who walked out in anything but complete bondage. You see these women walking out and they are so broken and hurting. Even the ones who don't believe that a fetus is fully human, they still know that they have gone against nature, that something does not feel right, and they have no one that they can confide in because all of their friends are telling them that it was a blob of tissue, and it's stupid for you to mourn over that. I think the fact that they have stolen so much truth and perverted it and twisted it and sold it to the masses as their own version of the truth, which is completely corrupted, that's where we have to stop. We have to get bold. We have to start beating them at their own game. We have science on our side, and to a lot of these people, that, I don't know, I guess everybody kind of goes through that phase, right? You go to college and you become a hippie for a minute, and you don't need God, you need science. The awesome thing is we've got God and science on our side. When we're talking to these young women and we're explaining to them that a fetus has a heartbeat by the time they're going into abort, that they have been lied to by this organization, that they've been lied to by all these pro-choicers out there who are trying to keep them ignorant, who don't want them to see sonograms, don't want them to have any access to information or real choices, suddenly we can show them that there's nothing empowering about this choice at all. Now, we also have resources and information on our side. We're the ones who are not making a profit off of them, and they need to know that. Now, I'll tell you what I've seen that doesn't work. When we go out there, like these protesters we've got over here, who are screaming and hollering and they're angry, and Lauren's exactly right, they're hurt. Could you imagine having made that decision and being wrong and thinking in your head, I'm pretty sure that wasn't a human being, but you know what? If that was a human being, you have taken your own child's life. I mean, that's a horrifying thought. You definitely have to rationalize in order to make yourself at peace with what you have done. And that's why we see so much intensity and anger. That's all we saw in Austin, was them trying to silence us. So even when we're bold and we're standing up for what we believe in, they are shouting us down constantly. Thank God for social media, though. There is an avenue where they can't silence us, where we can be heard by our friends who are on the fence, where we won't be shouted over, where we can pass out information. And it doesn't have to be abortion's murder and all these like abrasive in-their-face things, because I don't necessarily know how many people that brings over to our side. But I do know that information brings people over to our side. I do know sharing a picture of a completely intact 8-week fetus and saying, this is a baby. This is a human being. This is a human being. That brings people over to our side. That opens their eyes, and all of a sudden they start questioning what else they've been lied to by this movement that is out to make a profit off of them and the death of their children. We're seeing, and this is kind of old school in the movement, and it was a little before my time, but where you had people out there with the bullhorns and the giant graphic signs and screaming at women as they're going into clinics. And I think, I don't know if there was a need for that at one point. I know there's not a need for it now. I know it's incredibly unproductive. They have it going on in Denver outside of the largest Planned Parenthood, I think in the nation, or second largest, where they get up on this fence on ladders And they basically scream at women as they're going in. They have this amazing access to say, here's resources, here's stuff, like what can we do, how can we help you? And instead they choose to do that and have like minivans that lift up with dangling baby parts on them and stuff. And like, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm a pregnant 16-year-old, that's going to scare me to death. Like, that's not going to invite me in any way. And the thing is, it's not the old school pro-lifers who are doing this. It's this new crop of young punk rock pro-lifers. And we've got to nip that in the bud. The thing that is going to change hearts and minds is love and helping these women and meeting them, because they are in a place where they are so fearful and panicked right now. You cannot make an abortion clinic look like a safe haven. You cannot make an abortion clinic look like they are the sane ones. And that is what we're doing. We are scaring women into the abortion clinic with some of our tactics. Now, as I said, women are scared. When they're 16 and pregnant, they're scared. I know, because I was 16 and pregnant. And I was raised in a very strong pro-life family, and so it was not ever something that I considered. The second I found out I was pregnant, I knew 9 months from now, by the grace of God, like, I will be having a baby. But I also knew that I had a multitude of choices. Was I going to consider adoption, open adoption, closed adoption? I had real choices. And the best part is, because I wasn't considering abortion, I wasn't pressed for time. There wasn't this panic, that I needed to hurry up and make this decision right now. I had this bizarre calm in the face of something that was really scary and I was really, really unprepared for. But you know what? I had a loving, supportive family. And what we have to realize is not a lot of people have that. I mean, a lot of us have that. Not a lot of these women who are going to the clinic have that. It is not a pro-choice situation. It's a no-choice situation.